Hello, and welcome to Cryptic Web Chronicles. Today we're diving into the Patrick S. Tomlinson Iceberg. If you've been following this saga already, you're likely familiar with Patrick Tomlinson and his outrageous antics as an internet lolcow. But if you're not, buckle up, because things are about to get crazy.
Because none of you have listened in 3 goddamn years! Shut up! Never come here again, any of you! I'm serious! And never put me in cuffs again, you idiots!
In today's video, we're diving into the depths of the Patrick S. Tomlinson Iceberg. While we'll revisit many topics and incidents from my previous Patrick Tomlinson docu-series, we'll also uncover several new and more obscure elements of this saga that you might not have heard of. So stay tuned. If you're new here and enjoy today's video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. Without further ado, let's dive right into Level 1. Stealthy Geek. Stealthy Geek is the Twitter handle that internet lolcow Patrick S. Tomlinson has used since 2012. Patrick claims this handle reflects his outward appearance as a tough guy, while secretly being a nerd. Although he had been tweeting for years, his Stealthy Geek account gained a sizable following in 2017 after a pro-abortion tweet he wrote was shared and criticized by Ben Shapiro. With this newfound attention, much of it being negative, Patrick began using the account primarily as a self-described political firebrand, spending much of his time tweeting and responding to critics and trolls who mocked him online. While Stealthy Geek used to be a verified Twitter account, something Patrick was incredibly proud of, this verification status was revoked in 2018 after O&A trolls managed to get the account suspended. The account was banned for several months, during which time Patrick turned to alt accounts and his Facebook page to get his online attention fix. Eventually, Patrick had the account reinstated, reportedly after paying over $5,000 to have it unbanned. Honestly, it seems like Pat's Twitter account is the most important thing in his life, as he appears to spend the majority of his time and energy on it. Ironically, as you'll soon see, this Twitter account is also ultimately what led to Patrick's life being ruined. Opie and Anthony. Opie and Anthony was a shock jock radio show featuring Greg Opie Hughes and Anthony Cumia that ran from 1995 to 2014. Over time, the program became well known for its controversial stunts and off-color humor. Opie and Anthony's listeners, known as the Pests, regularly participated in the show's stunts and bits, earning a reputation for their disruptive and shocking behavior both in person and online. After the O&A show ended in 2014, many of the Pests continued to gather and discuss the show and its hosts online, with the largest group converging on the Opie and Anthony subreddit. Without the guidance of the O&A show, however, the community eventually turned on the hosts because of the drama that led to the show's ending. Over time, however, the subreddit also gradually began to pick new targets to troll and satirize online. Their focus shifted from solely discussing the show's hosts and guests to trolling and mocking various other comedians and online figures as well. And as we'll soon discover, when the Opie and Anthony community and Patrick Tomlinson eventually clashed, it would spark an internet blood feud of legendary proportions. Norm Macdonald tweet. The Norm Macdonald tweet was a controversial post Patrick Tomlinson shared on Twitter on September 11th of 2018. The tweet reads as follows: "Hot take. I've never thought Norm Macdonald was funny, and was pretty sure all my comedy friends who did were either nuts or screwing with me." It seems that Tomlinson tweeted this in order to gain attention, with the post coinciding with Norm facing a relatively large amount of backlash on social media. Many believe Patrick tweeted this merely to pile hate onto a more successful figure out of jealousy. Patrick, a failed stand-up comedian himself, seemingly struggles to find any success in life beyond his modest Twitter following, and as a result, directs a lot of hate and negative energy towards people that are more successful. The Norm tweet eventually caught the attention of the Opie and Anthony subreddit, which took offense to Patrick's disparaging comments about the beloved comedian, and as a result, they began trolling him relentlessly. Patrick, unable to handle the trolls effectively, only exacerbated the situation by repeatedly engaging with them, which fueled the negative attention further. This seemingly minor online spat would snowball into a years-long conflict that, as we'll soon see, ultimately appears to have derailed Patrick's life entirely. Swattings. One of the most well-publicized aspects of the Patrick S. Tomlinson saga is the swattings he has experienced. At some point in the saga, after Patrick's lawsuit began to fail, an anonymous online figure began swatting Patrick, supposedly over 50 times. However, it is unclear how many times Patrick has actually been swatted, as he often appears to make exaggerations about this sort of thing. While Patrick has made several claims about these incidents, the true number of times he's been swatted is unclear. In my opinion, Patrick's side of the story cannot be taken at face value, and given Patrick's history of dishonesty, it is difficult to fully believe his accounts of the swattings. However, it is true that he was swatted on at least a few different occasions by an unknown person, with Milwaukee police encroaching on his house with guns drawn in response to the calls. Child. Child is an insult that Patrick is well known for using both online and in real life. If you make Patrick angry or disagree with him, there's a high chance he will call you a child, quickly turning into an antagonistic asshole. As an obese, malignant narcissist, Patrick often resorts to insulting and patronizing language during online discussions and debates, especially when he is speaking to women. A search through his Twitter or Reddit posts reveals that he has called people child thousands of times, making it one of his favorite insults when he's being trolled. What I've gathered from my observations is that if you're a female, Patrick will discard your opinion so he can dictate his own definition of reality to you. And if you dare disagree with anything he says, Pat will harass and berate you over Twitter, because he is the ultimate arbiter of truth. This obsession with using the term child to infantilize people has contributed to Patrick's reputation as a well-recognized lolcow, with many people mocking his usage of the term while trolling him.
To us and in public, so
No,
now we know.
child, I haven't.
Yes,
No,
child,
child,
you
I
have.
No, child, I haven't.
Yes, child, you have.
No, child, I haven't. You see, this is where you keep screwing up because you don't actually listen to what I'm saying.
Okay, I'll make sure to accompany those interviews with screenshots of text messages where you said that you're paying for all of this with your own money. How's that?
Didn't actually say that, little baby girl.
Yeah, you
Anyway,
actually
I'm
did.
going to enjoy what happens to you next.
And with that, we've just finished level 1. Now it's time to go deeper into the iceberg, onto level 2. O&A Forums. O&A Forums is an online forum that was started after the Opie and Anthony's subreddit was suspended. You see, following the start of the online feud between Pat and O&A, the subreddit was closed down by its moderators before it was ultimately banned by Reddit admins for breaking site rules. The O&A forums opened as a refuge for subreddit members and allowed them to continue their trolling and mockery of Tomlinson, which they often refer to as Pat posting. To this day, the Opie and Anthony forums continues to troll Patrick and various other people in his orbit, with a section of the forum titled Literary Criticism, dedicated to discussing Patrick and his antics. Patrick's Books. Patrick's Books refers to the sci-fi novels and other strange pieces Tomlinson has published over the years. You see, in addition to stand-up comedy and political firebranding, Patrick also delusionally believed he could find success as a science fiction author. However, Tomlinson's books are not well received, and according to other figures in the literary industry, Pat's books appear to sell quite poorly. Additionally, readers have left countless negative reviews about Patrick's books on Amazon and Goodreads over the years, as apparently they are not very good. In addition to this, Patrick has been accused of plagiarism online on more than one occasion. One of Patrick's books, Starship Repo, shares its title with a series of books from the 90s published by author William Tate. I can't verify if they have anything else in common beyond titles, because I've never read either of these books. However, I did find comments from users on Reddit claiming they have found some similarities. It's unclear to me if these are troll posts or genuine criticisms, but that's just what these users said. However, Patrick's worst offense, according to many online, involves his upcoming and yet-to-be-released book, A Christmas Carnage. He's evidently been working on this project since December 2021. According to O&A forums, this murder mystery thriller spin on the classic A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens is an idea blatantly ripped from the 2002 book Mr. Timothy by Lewis Bayard, with Patrick's book sounding like it will be a dumber, fatter, more flatulent version of the story. That's just O&A forum's opinion, though, as the book has yet to be released, and it seems like Pat's having trouble finding a publisher. I personally can't understand why a supposed professional six-figure author would waste so much time writing a book that's already been done. Did he do his research before starting? Does he even care? And who the hell is going to read this crap anyways? I was going to include an excerpt from it here since Patrick has shared a few on Twitter, but it's so dull and awkward that it's not even worth hearing. If you really want to know, just imagine a fat Midwestern rube's idea of how British people talked in the 1800s, governor. Pip pip cheerio. As a side note, users from O&A forums also published their own Tiny Tim book, titled A Christmas Carnage as an ebook on Amazon, just to troll Patrick. The book, which was written almost entirely by AI and used small sections of writing Patrick had shared on Twitter, was later pulled from Amazon after, ironically, Patrick accused the book of plagiarism. O&A's version of A Christmas Carnage has yet to be republished, though copies of it can be found on the forums. There are rumors it may be published again in the near future, though it's unclear if Amazon will allow this even if the sections that featured Patrick's writing are removed. Norm Cameo. The Norm Cameo refers to a video filmed by comedian Norm Macdonald that was commissioned by an O&A forums user via the website Cameo. Cameo is a platform that allows fans to buy videos from celebrities and online influencers featuring custom messages, typically for things like birthdays, anniversaries, or joke videos to be shared among friends. An O&A user would order a video from Norm referencing the Patrick drama. Although Norm followed through with the request, I don't think he was aware of O&A forums or the drama between them and Tomlinson at the time. This clip would be remembered on O&A forums as a major moment in the saga, and the video likely upset Patrick quite a bit.
Hey, this is Norm MacDonald here, and this is a message for all of Patrick's friends. I want you to stop picking on your friend Pat. After all, and I quote, his only crime was that he didn't find Norm Macdonald funny. Wait a minute here. I'm Norm Macdonald. And I am funny. Please continue insulting that fat loser.
Prison. Prison refers to the fact that Patrick often threatens his internet trolls and people who mock him online with imprisonment. A quick Twitter search reveals Patrick has tweeted the phrase, prison, stalker, numerous times at his trolls. As a result, much like Patrick's use of child, many following the Tomlinson drama online discuss prison and use the term in a joking manner to mock Tomlinson. Indeed, Patrick continues to threaten his internet trolls with prison for the crime of making fun of him on Twitter. He seems to hold the delusion that calling him fat on Twitter is a crime that will land you in federal prison. But as we all know, this simply isn't true. Patrick threatened his daughter. Halfway through level 2 and we're already covering some disturbing history. Patrick threatened his daughter refers to a 2011 incident where Patrick was arrested after he allegedly made violent threats against his pregnant wife who was carrying his daughter at the time, after he learned she was leaving him for another man. According to the police report, Patrick's sister-in-law Rona, who was reported to be crying and visually disturbed after the experience, told police that Patrick had threatened to wait until his wife gave birth so he could kill both her and the newborn. Patrick also threatened to murder a man named John that his pregnant wife was having a relationship with at the time. Patrick was arrested for these violent threats and later charged, and was found guilty as a result. This incident is likely one of the reasons Patrick lost custody of his daughter during the divorce a short time later, and as far as I know, he still has no part in her life. She even goes by another man's last name. Patrick seems pretty butthurt over this whole ordeal, and is still bitter about it to this day. O&A forums users uncovered this arrest using a Freedom of Information Act request, which Patrick stupidly claims was an abuse of the FOIA system somehow. Because he's Mama's special privileged boy, you're not allowed to know about his criminal record or the fact he threatened to murder his own newborn child. Not a good guy. Nikki Robinson. Nikki Robinson is Patrick's second wife that he married sometime after 2011. The two currently live together in the state of Wisconsin. Let's hear a quote from Patrick about his wife, taken from a Reddit comment he made during an argument on an r/autism thread. He can fuck my ex all he likes. I have a better replacement. From his Twitter, quote, "Oof, I'm married and get puss whenever I want, child. No, child, it's just available to me because my wife loves the D. I'm not going to be red flagged, and my wife and I have a very active sex life, child. I'm not an incel. Had sex with my wife this week already." From his Twitter, it sounds like Pat really has a lot of respect for his second, better wife. That's why he calls her his replacement wife and tweets about how he gets puss from her, right? Hooligans. Hooligans is a bar located near Patrick's neighborhood that he used to post from and tweet about regularly. Other people have also spotted him at this bar numerous times. Hooligans was one of Patrick's regular spots to grab a drink, and he also used to love their Monday meatloaf. Unfortunately, this bar would become the target of regular prank calls and faxes from trolls online, leading to much embarrassment and hassle for Patrick. As a result, many believe he stopped frequenting this bar, and some O&A members even formed a fringe conspiracy theory that he was banned from the establishment. Regardless of if this is true or not, Hooligans has become closely associated with Patrick online thanks to his trolls, with some even making pilgrimages to Milwaukee to visit the iconic bar. More on that later. That wraps up level 2 of the iceberg. Now let's go in further to level 3. Pepperoni Basement. Pepperoni Basement refers to a joke regularly made by trolls on O&A forums. In the past, users have often alleged Patrick was kidnapping African American children and grinding them into pepperoni in his basement. This is obviously nothing more than shock humor meant to get a rise out of Patrick, and it appears to be rather effective. At one point, Patrick would even have an outburst in court over these jokes during a restraining order hearing, before he was reprimanded by the judge.
I was kidnapping African American children and grinding them up into pepperoni in my basement, which they all thought was absolutely hilarious, didn't you? Yeah.
Sir, don't do that.
During a different incident, Patrick claims the police came and searched his house for signs of an illegal pepperoni operation after a listing was shared on Craigslist, advertising succulent pepperoni in Patrick's basement made from the best and tastiest meats in the city. It's not clear who made this Craigslist post, with Patrick and O&A forums both pointing the finger at each other in blame for this incident. Quasi, also known as Quasi101, was the administrator and creator of Opie and Anthony forums. Once an active member of the O&A subreddit, Quasi would take a leadership role following the subreddit suspension. He ran the O&A forums from 2019 until early 2024, when he then announced his retirement. A group of users would volunteer to step up and take over for Quasi as moderators, as well as taking over handling payments for the site's hosting. Nowadays, Quasi can be found posting occasionally on the forums, enjoying freedom from his past responsibilities as the site's admin. Despite being described by Patrick as a felon cyberstalker terrorist criminal, Quasi keeps on rockin' in the free world. Patrick's lawsuit. In 2020, Patrick Tomlinson would attempt to sue 60 anonymous internet users for troll posts they made about him online. John Doe number 1 in this lawsuit was the aforementioned Quasi, whom Patrick obviously targeted because he ran the O and A forums. Also included in the lawsuit were several O and A forums members, as well as Kiwi Farms users and people that had left bad reviews on Patrick's books online. It was clear to everybody that the goal of this lawsuit was simply to silence and intimidate Patrick's critics, with Pat likely planning to dox and publicly harass anybody he identified during the proceedings. This suit would ultimately find its way to the California courts due to the involvement of the Silicon Valley company Cloudflare, which provides web services to O and A forums like DDoS protection. Cloudflare was subpoenaed by Patrick's attorney as a result. Quasi would fight the lawsuit, however, hiring his own legal defense to quash the subpoenas. This ultimately all led to Patrick losing the suit without identifying a single person, in addition to losing thousands on lawyer fees and being humiliated in court because of how California's civil system functions. Pat also owed Quasi $23,000 in legal fees as well. Although Patrick initially refused to pay Quasi, the legal debt was eventually moved over to Milwaukee and collected a large amount of interest in the process. Patrick ultimately faced jail time for contempt of court if he did not pay this debt, and as a result, in an act of total humiliation, he ultimately was forced to hand over $80,000 to the admin of O and A forums. Needless to say, this lawsuit was a complete and utter failure by all definitions. Since then, Patrick has repeatedly claimed that he never intended to sue the O and A forums, and that throwing them in prison was his plan the entire time. I guess that's why he ultimately was the one that almost went to jail and had to pay Quasi to prevent it, right? Good one, Pat. You sure showed him.
Patrick paid Quasi a stack of cash, $83,000 in a flash, but where'd he get it? What's the deal? His daddy's worked hard with the mouth to heal. Quasi said thanks, rubbed his hands in glee. He got the money, but it ain't for free. Patrick's dad, he's a self-made man, grinding all day, doing what he can. Money talks, it's a language we all know, but it ain't easy, it don't come for show. Patrick's dad, he worked hard for what's his own. Now Quasi's catching on with the money he was thrown. And he talks a language we all know.
Susan v. 6. Susan refers to Patrick's Ford Mustang that he lovingly named Susan. Trolls often claim the Mustang has a V6 engine, which enrages Patrick, and often leads to him insisting that his car is a V8. However, I've never seen under the hood of his car to verify if this is true or not. There's no way of knowing. While Patrick prizes his Mustang, O and A members have noted that he greatly overvalues the car, and they also point out that the salt used to treat Milwaukee's icy roads during the winter has likely caused a lot of corrosion and rust damage on it over the years.
In my souped up V6 Mustang car, I'm about to drive this baby down to Hooligan's Bar and get wild, stalk a chow.
The Hovel. The hovel is what O and A forums members call Patrick's house. Patrick lives in what many would describe as a dilapidated duplex. The electrical wiring is so old and shitty that the place apparently almost caught fire one time. In addition to being very old and poorly maintained, many online have described the way Tomlinson lives as trashy. The duplex does seem kind of grimy, and it looks pretty small inside too. It's so cramped the bathroom even has pocket doors. The Lappening. The Lappening was a major discovery that O and A forums members made after digging into Patrick's past, after learning about his divorce. It refers specifically to a series of pictures showing Patrick's first wife sitting on another man's lap during a party, while Patrick looks on in confusion. This man would be none other than Pringles John, the stud that stole Patrick's pregnant wife away from him. While they seem like innocent pictures of drunken shenanigans from your typical early 2000s party, they take on a new, darker meaning once you learn the tragic and humiliating story behind them. As you can see, things are getting a little crazier as we tread deeper into the depths of this saga. Now let's take a look at Level 4. SFWA. The Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association, also known as the SFWA, is an author group that Patrick secretly joined in 2020. According to Opie and Anthony forums, Patrick quietly joined this group a short time before he filed his lawsuit, and they are who funded the suit and paid Patrick's legal fees while he pursued the forums in court. Allegedly, this was all done without the knowledge of the group's members, whom financially support the organization with money out of their own pockets. This misappropriation of funds is not only shady-looking, but according to O&A forums, might actually be a violation of the group's 501c3 tax exemption status. I'm not a legal expert, but many on O&A forums have also claimed that the SFWA could actually lose their 501c3 status if the IRS found out they were funding frivolous nuisance lawsuits in secret. They also claim it's possible to report fraudulent activity, such as this using IRS Information Referral Form 3949A. However, I don't know a lot about the rules and laws surrounding nonprofit organizations and their finances, so I can't confirm or deny if any of this is true, or just meant to troll Patrick and the SFWA. More importantly, however, in my own opinion, the SFWA has a severe problem with pedophilia amongst its members. In 2013, for example, they picked a man named Samuel Delaney as Grand Master of their organization. Delaney is known for being an outspoken supporter and supposed member of the pedophilia group NAMBLA, also known as the National Man-Boy Love Association. Additionally, Delaney published a controversial book in the 90s titled Hog, that is basically a kitty diddler murder fantasy about kidnapping and sexually abusing a young boy. Despite this, Delaney is a beloved member of the SFWA, and the group has shown nothing but support for him over the years, and still associates with him to this day. Another past SFWA member by the name of Edward Kramer is a convicted child molester who has been caught in the act on multiple occasions over the years. Kramer seems obsessed with victimizing children, and he is undoubtedly a monster. That didn't stop SFWA members from openly rallying around Kramer and showering him with support after one of his arrests, with many in the group even raising money for his legal defense. Yes, you heard that right. After Ed Kramer was charged with child molestation, people in SFWA actually sided with him and raised money to ensure he stayed free, presumably so he could continue hurting children. However, that's just my personal opinion. I'm also of the opinion that this group is a disgusting cesspit, and it's a shame Kramer wasn't brutally dealt with in prison a long time ago, because that is the fate he and anyone else who preys on children deserves. Apostlegate. Apostlegate is the title of a bombshell series of articles published by Thomas Apostle, an O&A forums member turned investigative journalist. Apostle spent months feeding Patrick false information while infiltrating his inner circle in order to gain intel on the lawsuit Pat filed against O&A forums. The resulting articles, which can be found at apostlegate.net, would reveal the insanity that went on behind the scenes of Patrick's suit. By the end of it, Thomas Apostle had sabotaged Patrick's lawsuit and exposed how the SFWA was involved, leading to a humiliating series of revelations that only further cemented Patrick's status as a lolcow. Apostle also fooled Vice journalist Anna Merlin into a series of fake interviews that ultimately prevented Vice from publishing an article about Patrick, as Apostle helped Merlin and other Vice journalists realize that Patrick was lying about several details in his story. The Josiah Tapes. The Josiah Tapes are a series of 5 recorded phone calls between Patrick Tomlinson and a troll that went by the name Josiah Munoz. This name appears to be a reference to Josh Moon, the creator and admin of Kiwi Farms. During the Apostlegate saga, Josiah Munoz approached Tomlinson and claimed he was a Huffington Post journalist and that the publication was interested in running an article about Patrick and his lawsuit. However, the true purpose of these phone interviews was simply to troll Patrick. The resulting phone call recordings can be found on apostlegate.net, and the most well-known one is definitely the fifth and final phone call. That's because this was the call where Josiah Munoz revealed to Pat that he was an O&A forums troll, leading to Patrick having a mental breakdown over the phone before flying into a blind rage. Josiah Tape 5 is one of the funniest and most memorable moments from this saga, as it shows just how ridiculous Patrick's behavior can get whenever he's cornered and his idiocy is revealed.
Hey, Patrick, I think I lost you there. What's up?
Yes, sorry about that. I was coming in and out of a building that has a bunch of steel in it, and I think it probably fucked with my signal. So anyway.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay, I was just gonna say that I spoke with my supervisor about getting in contact with you. She says that you're a fat with bitch tits, so we're gonna have to cancel the article.
Oh, well, the problem with that, sweetie, is that we already figured that out.
You already figured out that you're a fat bitch tits?
No, we already figured out that you're a complete posing liar, and by the way, you weren't the only person.
Oh, okay. Is that why you did like 2 hours of interviews with me? You're just that intelligent?
Yes, child.
What'd you say?
Yes, child. So what do you think you're going to do with those 2 hours of interviews exactly? Go ahead and explain it to me.
I'm gonna post them on YouTube.
Good for you, child. What do you think that's going to accomplish other than showing you to the sociopath and loser that you are?
It's also gonna show that you're a gullible liar and that you're also fat.
No, child, it won't, because I didn't lie to you in any of those interviews. That's the only problem you guys keep having. You see, I've never lied to you about anything. That's the problem you keep coming back to. Everything I've ever told you has always been true and accurate.
Oh, so you're paying for this lawsuit out of your own pocket? Yeah, that's totally not a lie. Mentally healthy people wouldn't react like this to a prank call, you fat faggot.
Your fucking mouth, child. Don't speak anymore. You have nothing to say. That's why you always go back to saying the F word, because you have nothing to say.
That's an accurate description of you, Patrick.
No, child, it is not.
Yeah,
It is
it is.
a lie. It is a delusion that you have to believe in order to continue functioning.
Okay.
You have nothing to say. Nothing you believe has ever been true.
So what did Judge Stein say that makes you think that you're going to win the lawsuit, even though you told Josiah that he's probably not going to rule in your favor?
See, that's the things that are coming out of your mouth, child.
You drunk fat.
Nonsense, babbling, insanity, delusions. You have nothing to say, and you have never had anything to say at any point.
Actual tough guy. Actual tough guy is a cringy term that Patrick has unironically used to describe himself in the past. You see, Patrick seems to hold the delusion that he's a hardened tough guy with fighting experience, and he desperately wants other people to think this about him as well. On Twitter, he claims he's been in several knife fights and bar brawls, and also has countless made-up stories about times he acted like a big tough guy who saved the day by beating up a Nazi. In my opinion, these are all bullshit stories, and as we already know, Patrick is a fat liar who is addicted to making things up. One look at him, and you already know he's a pudgy alcoholic who likes to eat Monday meatloaf at his local bar every week. Yeah, Patrick, you're a real tough guy. That's why you said you were going to kill a defenseless woman and child, right? Douchebag. Brinton Resto. Brinton Resto is a twink lawyer that Patrick hired during his lawsuit against O&A Forums. Brinton became the source of much mockery online following this case, as it seemed to demonstrate his incompetence and lack of experience. It should be noted that before this lawsuit, sources online claimed that Brinton Resto had specialized in wine law, which, if true, would mean he was likely not equipped to handle a case of Patrick's caliber. I feel that together, Patrick and Resto's combined actions may be what ultimately led to the lawsuit failing. Furthermore, it appears that Brinton had no clue that Patrick could owe quasi-legal fees if their subpoena was quashed, and he seemingly walked Patrick into the massive debt without even realizing what he was doing. Being a fruity little wine law expert, he probably was not the best candidate for this type of case. That's all my opinion, though, and it still obviously takes some level of skill to complete law school and pass the bar exam, so I guess he has that going for him. Practicing law ain't easy. PPP loans. PPP loans refers to the fact that many on O&A forums believe Patrick and his wife Nikki fraudulently abused the Paycheck Protection Program that was started during COVID to provide financial relief to small businesses. It is true that Patrick received over $11,000 from the federal government for his supposed sole proprietor business. Patrick's wife Nikki also received nearly $30,000 through this program for her company, Robinson Writers, LLC. It isn't clear what these pandemic relief funds were used for, though many on O&A forums point out that Patrick and Nikki went on many vacations and trips after receiving these loans, and Patrick also flaunted several big purchases on his social media, such as a new refrigerator and a home gym set that he's never even used. As of May 2024, Patrick still has a large pair of man tits. In my opinion, Pat and his wife Nikki took advantage of the PPP loan program to siphon funds for their own personal expenses. Patrick spends most of his day tweeting, so I don't get how he could possibly be entitled to $11,000 of taxpayer money just for sitting around on his ass and getting trolled on Twitter. These people are leeches, and I hope they're prosecuted for this fraud. As I covered in my PPP scams video, there's a chance they might, as the statute of limitations for PPP fraud has been extended to 10 years, giving the federal government plenty of time to sniff out any suspicious loans. Well, that concludes Level 4. Now we can dive even deeper into the insanity onto Level 5. Baked potato. Baked potato refers to the shape of Patrick's fat and smelly physique. I'm just kidding. It actually refers to a 2017 Twitter spat involving Pat that revealed just how much of an asshole he really was. O&A members would uncover this exchange while digging through Patrick's old tweets. The thread reads as follows. A Twitter user named Roland, who according to his bio, was waiter at a steakhouse in Vegas, would ask Patrick an innocent question. "Why are you verified?" Patrick would hatefully respond, "Because I'm not waiting tables." Roland would answer, "That's the left spirit. You'd like me better if I was collecting benefits, I'm sure." Patrick would bitterly reply, "I'm a conservative, Sparkles. I don't like you because you're a dickhead. I'd like you more if you weren't." Roland would respond, "Oh, good, now we have idiots on both sides. Bravo." Patrick would fatly write back, "Son, I ordered a baked potato with chives and butter, not steak fries. Could you take these back, please?" From this exchange, you can clearly see Patrick thinks he is above Roland because he is a steakhouse waiter, and even mocks him for working the job. Why Patrick was such an asshole in response to this guy's question, I'm not sure. But considering Roland's profile picture is him smiling with his daughter, I'm willing to bet jealousy is a big reason Patrick hates this guy. Of course, Patrick took the argument straight to food. He seems to have an insatiable hunger for bar food. 1.7 GPA. 1.7 GPA refers to Patrick's high school transcript, which Opie and Anthony Trolls acquired sometime in 2022. In addition to not being in any clubs or sports, it appears that Patrick failed geometry, algebra, and physics, and also dropped out of Spanish class. By senior year, it appears his GPA was a 1.7. This grade point average is quite low, considering Patrick claims to have an IQ in the 140 ass. If he's so intelligent, why didn't he do better in high school? And why did he lose his lawsuit? Surely someone with a genius IQ would know better than to walk into such a stupid mess. Patrick is obviously a liar. In fact, he's one of the biggest and dumbest liars I've ever seen. Locally cooked. This entry is pretty stupid, and it gives us a look into how Patrick's mental retardation has only worsened over the years. Before 2020, Patrick often used the term locally sourced in a joking manner in his tweets, usually to mock hipster-type people who throw around terms like that when describing their special fancy foods. However, in 2023, Patrick would unironically use the term locally cooked to describe a tamal he was bragging about eating on Twitter. I guess Patrick thought it was a big deal that he was eating a tamal that was cooked in his local vicinity, as opposed to one that was cooked in a faraway location. Locally cooked chicken tamales with our homemade cayenne and pineapple hot sauce for lunch. Well, congrats on the locally cooked food, I guess. Fat slob. Mueller S3. Mueller S3 refers to an embarrassing Twitter incident that occurred between Patrick and a troll early in the saga, during the period after Patrick's Stealthy Geek account was first suspended. Desperate to continue tweeting, Patrick would pathetically make a Twitter account in the name of his cat, Robert Mueller. On this account, he would claim to be a Patrick Tomlinson fan and engaged in several Twitter slap fights with his critics, all while denying that it was him behind the page. O&A members got this account suspended a short time later for ban evasion in order to troll Patrick and ensure he was kicked off the platform entirely. This incident was not only embarrassing for Patrick, but also showed that he was more than happy to go out of his way to continue feeding his trolls, demonstrating to many following the drama that he made a good candidate for lolcow status. Dietrich Chelius said, quote, "You are literally hiding behind an account as your cat because you got banned on your main account and have an addiction to Twitter, and you even lie about it being fan-run." Patrick, posing as his cat Robert Mueller, responded, quote, "Nope, sorry, but your continued obsession with Patrick has been noted, almost like you're addicted." Chelius responds, asking, quote, "You post the exact same content as him in the exact same cadence and writing style. Who would make a parody account of a banned user's cat besides the banned user?" Patrick replies, quote, "Me, one of his tens of thousands of followers, who feels his voice was important. You don't have any followers and no one cares about anything you have to say. So I understand it must seem strange to you." Chelius then points out the obvious. Quote, "Patrick used to call out follower count too. You're the only one who cares about that, Patrick. If's why you're back on here pretending to be a cat instead of accepting your ban." Patrick claps back. Quote, "Yes, he did, and for good reason. You're a troll account, likely a sock puppet with no followers and nothing to say. That should be called out. I know you really want to talk to Patrick, because you're obsessed, but you'll have to settle for me." Paul Weimer. Paul Weimer, also known as Prince Justin, is a pitiful little man that regrettably got wrapped up in Patrick's war against the trolls on Twitter for a short time early in the saga. You see, many of Patrick's biggest fans, also commonly known as his ball washers, have joined in efforts to fight against Twitter trolls at one point or another, with most of them dropping out eventually because they're unable to handle the heat. On O&A forums, Weimer is often described as a lonely, depressed creep that's known to cry online about how he's an incel loser with no friends. Supposedly even his own family hates him, though he's never made it clear as to exactly why. Many trolls on O&A forums accuse Paul of being a kitty diddler, not only because of his creepy appearance, but also due to the fact his Flickr photography page once featured a series of questionable photos he took of young girls. However, Paul later deleted the albums after O&A forums members pointed out how creepy they were. One picture featured a young girl playing on a swing, with some of the shots featuring her legs and a view up her skirt. In another album, Paul photographed a young girl taking a bath, and in the captions referred to himself as Uncle Paul, though he went on to clarify he was not related to the child. So basically, he was taking sus photos of other people's kids and sharing them on the internet. That's how I interpret it anyways. Much like Patrick Tomlinson, Uncle Paul also has his own Kiwi Farms thread where users discuss his pathetic life and his postings online. Poor, pitiful little Prince Justin.
These people look for everything I do, so they thought, hey, let's go and fuck up Sean's stream and make Paul cry. Mother!
Well, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it, Paul.
So, sadly, I think there's more of this is going to come in the future.
I mean, whatever. I'm not bothered by it. Like, I know you are. I get it. I understand it. Like, but I mean,
I was bullied growing up, and now I'm being bullied as a 51-year-old by these chuds.
I mean,
who have
it's
nothing
whatever.
better to do with their life.
I mean, they are kind of chuds. I mean, I did see that movie, Paul.
Yes. So
anyway,
I
did make someone a mod. Anyway, yeah, well, look.
I mean, now they're just infesting your stream. I'm sorry, Sean.
Paul, I'm really not bothered.
I know, but I'm bothered.
I
All
understand.
Right.
I don't know why you are. It is what it is. Yeah. I don't know. Has anyone else like burned out on the like endless stream of this kind of stuff? Is anyone?
The Vandal. This entry refers to a supposed vandalism incident that occurred at Patrick's house in 2021. One dark and spooky night, a mysterious vandal supposedly visited Patrick's house and wrote crude messages on his property with a dry erase marker, evidently in an act of vandalism. On the side of Pat's house, the vandal scrawled a terrifyingly chilling message: "The gay virgin Patrick." Then, the vandal was captured on Patrick's security camera, walking from the side of his house over to where Patrick parks his motorcycle. The security footage cuts off before the vandal would write another message, "Deadbeat Patrick," on his motorcycle with a marker. Patrick privately shared the footage of this incident with Josiah Munoz sometime during the Applegate saga, and when Josiah later blew his cover and shared the phone calls and security camera footage, O&A forums immediately noticed some strange quirks. The video is a little over 20 seconds long, and for some strange reason begins before the vandal even sets into frame. I find this odd, because if we are to believe this is a motion-activated camera, why would the recording start before the subject walked around the corner and into frame? Furthermore, I find it strange that the vandal shows no reaction to Patrick's motion-activated light flicking on as he walks past it. Was the vandal not worried about being seen? Or was this someone that knew about the motion-activated light and had walked past it before? But what I find most strange about this video is the striking resemblance the vandal bears to Patrick. They appear to share the same back hunch, hairstyle, and chunky-looking torso shape. The clothes and shoes even look like stuff Patrick would wear. This video would be remembered as yet another bizarre moment in the Tomlinson saga, with many on O&A forums speculating that Patrick himself was the vandal, carrying out a false flag on himself to further try and sell his story to the media. The vandal was never caught, and it's not clear who was really behind these mysterious markings. The video clip lives on in infamy. Toothless. Toothless was a lizard that Patrick kept as a pet at his hovel in Milwaukee for a few years, before the lizard mysteriously died of unknown causes. Not much is known about the circumstances surrounding Toothless's death, though many on O&A forums speculate that Patrick sat on the lizard and crushed it. However, I'm not sure if this can be verified or not, and it's possible Patrick could have eaten the lizard in an attempt to hide any evidence. That's just my opinion, though, because he just looks like a hungry sort of guy to me. We're really reaching into the depths now because it's time for us to move on down to the next level. 6. Little Brother Kyle. Little Brother Kyle refers to Patrick's younger brother Kyle. Patrick often talks about Kyle in a patronizing manner, and always makes sure to include that Kyle is his little brother when talking about him online. Pat often seems to try to dress down Kyle's accomplishments and achievements as well. For example, Patrick vehemently denies that his brother Kyle was a varsity athlete in high school and spends a considerable amount of energy arguing with trolls on Twitter about this detail. It seems that Patrick is highly jealous of Kyle, and as a result, he becomes angry whenever trolls compare them. I should also mention that Kyle's wife, Rona, was who told the police about Patrick's death threats against his own wife and daughter. From the way things look to me, Patrick holds some bad blood against his brother, who is by all definitions a better and more successful man. Hildy, full name Eric Hildeman, was a Patrick Tomlinson ball washer that popped up in the Twitter sphere sometime during 2022. Much like Patrick, Hildy is a cringy Redditor atheist type guy who is a huge abortion fan and carries himself as a philosophical expert of logic and reason. Hildy is best known for a strange argument he made in a Twitter thread sometime in 2023 that O&A forums members will not soon forget. Hildy apparently argued that kitty diddlers that watch child abuse material online are morally superior to the trolls that mock Patrick Tomlinson on Twitter. Hildy argued that this was because, unlike the O&A trolls, kitty diddlers who watch CP are in control of their urges, and they don't actually hurt children. Yes, he seriously tried to make this argument. A short time later, O&A members also discovered Hildy's sister Heidi had a criminal record that allegedly included prostitution and fraud charges. Evidently, there were also pictures of her and reviews of her services on various escort sites, with one customer even noting that she had terrible hygiene and smelled awful while she serviced him. Trolls even shared nude images of Heidi with Eric in order to troll him. It was really nasty stuff, too. This all seems to be what ultimately broke Hildy, as he disappeared from the drama a short time later and remained relatively quiet since. Hopefully, for the good of her clients, his sister starts bathing between sessions. Breakfast corn. Breakfast corn refers to a strange image Patrick shared on social media of a so-called healthy breakfast that he had fixed himself one morning. The breakfast consisted of a cup of coffee, peanut butter on toast, some eggs, a few leaves of spinach, and a scoop of corn. Many on O&A forums have ridiculed this breakfast for the inclusion of the corn and spinach, with some even remarking that the plate is exactly what a stupid fat Midwestern rube would make as a healthy breakfast. I personally have nothing against peanut butter toast and eggs, but admittedly, the corn and raw spinach is a confusing choice. But hey, it could just be that Patrick eats corn with every meal. Hashtag #UmonKoki. #UmonKoki is a typo that Patrick apparently made while writing a prison threat to a Twitter user named Mike. The tweet reads, "Wasn't convicted of anything, stalker. #UmonKoki your future. Enjoy prison." Twitter trolls immediately began jokingly using this typo to mock Patrick, similar to President Donald Trump's well-known "cough fee fee" tweet. When you bust your hashtag #UmonKoki, but she keeps sucking. Trump has a plan to hashtag #UmonKoki the election. Y'all ever #UmonKoki $83,000? Fake bomb threat. This entry refers to a supposed bomb threat that Patrick claims was made against a hotel he was staying at during a convention known as PenguiCon. However, investigative journalist Thomas Apostle would soon begin looking into the details of the story and quickly discovered some major discrepancies. This all started when Patrick posted the following on Twitter. "Haven't said this publicly yet, but our stalkers called in a bomb threat to local PD at a con I attended recently. That triggers a report to the FBI automatically. The agent already had that report in hand when I spoke to them today." While investigating these claims, journalist Thomas Apostle contacted the hotel in question to ask about the bomb threat situation, and the response he received was shocking.
Thank you for calling the Westin Southfield. It will be our pleasure to assist you. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling the Westin Southfield. How may I direct your call?
I had some questions about an event that was hosted there last month. I was hoping I could talk to somebody there.
Okay. What did you want to know about the event that happened last month?
This was called PenguinCon. It happened April 22nd through the 24th. There is a presenter on Twitter saying that there was bomb threats at this event, and I was trying to confirm if that was true.
There was who on what was what now?
Okay, so they had presenters at this event, right? And one of the presenters is named Patrick Tomlinson. He is on Twitter saying that there were bomb threats at your hotel, and I was trying to confirm if this was true or not.
No, we didn't get no bomb threats.
And you're sure about this?
I believe I wouldn't be here. I'm positive.
Okay.
Wow.
I really appreciate you taking the time. I can give you this person's Twitter handle if you'd like to look into it yourself.
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do, because that's a lie.
Okay, his name is Patrick Tomlinson, and his Twitter is at Stealthy Geek. He also
Delta Geek?
Stealthy STEALTHY Geek. And he has a website also that you can contact him at.
Now, what was the last name again? Because we went right into the Twitter name. What was the last name again?
That is Tomlinson. T-O-M.
Oh, Tomlinson.
Yes. You have that?
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to look this up. If we have to, we'll call the police, because that was a lie.
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
In order to verify the bomb threat didn't occur, Apostle also called Lithie Dubois, an assistant con chair for PenguinCon. She was also present at the convention. When asked about a bomb threat that weekend, it sounded like she had no idea what Apostle was talking about.
Other people painted it.
Hello?
Hi, is this the PenguinCon assistant con chair?
Yes, it is.
Hi, I had a question regarding PenguinCon. I've talked to the hotel, and I've talked to a presenter named Patrick Tomlinson. He says that there was a bomb threat on the hotel during your event. Could you tell me about this?
Actually, I cannot.
No? So we talked to the hotel.
No, but you could definitely email board-members-only at penguicon.org, and that goes to the PenguinCon board. And because the PenguinCon board manages PenguinCon, the year-to-year business of the con, like the entity itself, and the con chair and myself are only in charge of the actual event while it happens, so we're no longer even in position or power, if that makes sense. But the board is.
Okay, I understand. And could you tell me, since you were at the event, about any evacuations or anything that took place?
I am unaware of evacuations or anything. I don't know what you're asking for. We had our event and it was really successful.
Yes, there's one of your presenters is posting on Twitter that he received bomb threats at this event and that the FBI is involved. But if the FBI was involved, I was wondering if the event was evacuated or if the con chairs were told about this.
So if the FBI is involved, I certainly could not tell you anything about that.
Okay. So from what you said, you didn't see any evacuations then?
I'm unaware of evacuating the hotel, and I believe the Westin would also state that. At no point did we had our event the entire weekend, so...
All right, well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, man.
By this point, Tomlinson's account of the PenguinCon bomb threats appeared to have completely unraveled. In my opinion, Patrick fabricated the bomb threats in order to strengthen his case and attract more media attention. Posts by Ghost. Posts by Ghost is the name of Patrick's wife's SEO business. SEO, also known as search engine optimization, is a technique used to improve the visibility and ranking of a website on search engine results pages. Over the years, O&A trolls have directed some of their trolling towards Nikki and Posts by Ghost. Despite being involved with internet content and visibility online, Post by Ghost's social media pages have all been dead since 2020, and Nikki has very little presence online as well. Additionally, her SEO skills apparently weren't much help in defending Patrick's reputation and search results online. Like many of the other odd tidbits found within this saga, Posts by Ghost has become a meme of sorts on the Opie and Anthony forums. With level 6 done, it's time for us to dive down into level 7. If you've made it this far, congratulations. We're getting closer to reaching the abysmal depths. Tommy Clown. Tommy Clown is a nickname O&A forums gave to Patrick's dad, Tommy Tomlinson. According to Patrick, Tommy was a cowboy rodeo clown bull rider electrician back in the day, who skilled not only with his mouth, but his hands as well. In my opinion, it sounds like Patrick has made a bunch of stuff up about his dad, being that he's a narcissist and a compulsive liar. Mama Raven. Mama Raven, also known as Judith Raven Tomlinson, is Patrick's mother. From what I could gather, Mama Raven used to be some sort of school counselor or held some similar position. On O&A forums, it's believed that she filled Patrick's head with many delusions during his childhood, convincing him that he was Mama Raven's gifted special boy. This could possibly explain Patrick's strange behavior and large ego. Much like Tommy, Patrick has told some ridiculous and fake-sounding stories about his mother in the past as well. In one tweet, he would write, "My mother saw a Slipknot mash pit and threw elbows in Mom's stairs until they walked her out. She's kind of a badass." In another tweet, Patrick would write, "My parents' fridge has had a piece of construction paper held in place by magnets for something like 20 years. In fading Sharpie marker, it reads, #DLTIW. It stands for Don't Let the Idiots Win. It's our family mantra. It's why I fight, and why I never stop." I guess that's why he paid Quasi $83,000, because he's dedicated to never letting the idiots win. Burnell Trammell. This entry refers to Burnell Trammell, a black Donald Trump supporter and Rastafarian street preacher that was murdered by an unknown individual in the streets of Milwaukee near Patrick's home. Trolls on O&A forums quickly formed a theory that Patrick was behind this murder, as Patrick has previously expressed his hatred of Trump and his supporters numerous times on Twitter. Additionally, Patrick does not seem opposed to political violence and has posted violent messages in the past related to politics and the election. Burnell's killer was captured on CCTV footage, and it appeared to be a fat man riding a bicycle away from the scene. O&A members quickly connected the dots and began claiming Patrick was Burnell's killer. Additionally, on the same day of the killing, Patrick posted a selfie of himself wearing a Captain America face mask, with his skin looking red and flushed for some unknown reason. While O&A likely created this theory to troll Patrick, it has persisted on the forum, and Burnell is still remembered and discussed there to this day. Personally, I am skeptical of this theory, however, because I'm not sure Patrick could ride a bicycle the distances required to pull off the crime. Patrick is gay. Patrick is gay refers to an O&A forums theory that Patrick Tomlinson is a closeted homosexual or is some sexuality other than heterosexual. O&A members often reference a couple of sus tweets made by Patrick, as well as a picture where he is looking particularly fruity, as evidence this is true. And little butt plug, ass play is not limited to homosexuals. It's enjoyed by all orientations. You're hated because you're a fuckwit. You think only gays suck dick? Oh son, get out more. I'm not exactly sure what these tweets are supposed to mean, but I think I get the idea. Additionally, the way Patrick speaks to Josiah in interview tape 5 is often called gay, sounding by many O and A users. Torque Wheeler. Torque Wheeler is Patrick Tomlinson's car-obsessed alter ego that he used to post from on Twitter, as well as to a blog called Automatic. Torque seems to have created this blog in secret with the help of his wife, Nikki, who, as I previously mentioned, is a blogging, SEO, and social media expert that allegedly also has webbed feet. The purpose of Patrick's car blog was basically to let him LARP as a mechanic and share his stupid opinions about cars, as well as post pictures of other people's cars that he saw on the street. Patrick would also occasionally sneak in pictures of his own rusted-out Mustang, acting like it's in the same tier as the Lamborghinis and Corvettes he regularly posted. While Torque Wheeler seemingly tried to hide this blog from his trolls, he didn't do a very good job, leading to several trolls discovering it and making parody accounts of the blog. Since then, Patrick has ceased posting on the account and has apparently given up on his Torque Wheeler character. Tyrone Farts. Tyrone Farts refers to a crude meme/joke that can regularly be found on Opie and Anthony forums. According to O and A members, the story goes that Patrick allegedly enjoys watching black men fart in Nikki's vagina. This gross joke is often repeated simply to troll Patrick and embarrass his wife. It's not clear where this joke originated or if it has any basis in reality, but it continues to be spread by O and A trolls to this day. Jackie Singh. Jackie Singh is a self-proclaimed cybersecurity expert and internet lolcow who owes over $100,000 to the IRS. Much like Patrick, she also has her own Kiwi Farms thread. Jackie Singh is a wannabe hacker and a disgraced member of the Gay Association of America, also known as the GNAA, which was a racist hacking group that spread chaos online in the early 2000s. Jackie would later apparently form some sort of alliance with Patrick, with her coming to his defense on Twitter and also mounting several failed attacks against O and A trolls. More recently, Jackie has faded into the background, as it seems her troubles with credit card companies and the IRS may be catching up to her. With level 7 done, we're nearing the end of our journey down this twisted rabbit hole, but there's still some more left to go down on level 8. Pallet chairs. Pallet chairs refers to a pair of Adirondack chairs that Patrick made out of recycled pallets sometime in 2023. According to O&A, Patrick took over 6 months to complete this simple project, and during that time he periodically posted update pictures of his chairs to Twitter. O&A forums quickly turned these ugly-looking chairs into a meme on the forums, but it wasn't until they were stolen that they gained the forum's close attention. Around May 14, 2024, a post was made to Craigslist in the Milwaukee area, advertising 2 free chairs available for pickup to anybody who came and got them. The Craigslist post included Patrick's address, as well as pictures of the chairs. Apparently, this post was made by a troll in order to mess with Patrick, and it was successful, as a couple apparently later came and picked up the chairs that same day. Conveniently, Patrick and his wife were supposedly at a concert when this all occurred. Not long after, Patrick would make a Craigslist post begging for the chairs to be returned. After discovering Patrick's Craigslist post, numerous internet trolls would respond to the ad to mess with Patrick and bait him into thinking they had the chairs. As you can see, even over 5 years into this saga, Patrick can't help but set himself up to get trolled even further at every turn.
Are you really going to put any Milwaukee police resources to nabbing the Adirondack chair bandits that stole his piece of garbage off his back ghetto porch?
When you say putting resources, right, you have to think about the kind of resources too. It isn't like a cop looking at pictures. They're going to get a strike on as many addresses, as many people, and that's presuming they're there. So of course they'll go to the closest ones. So they might have to go knock on 20 doors in a 3-mile radius. 20 doors at 100 doors at a 10-mile radius. They're not going to go. And then even if they have the chairs, it doesn't prove they're his chairs, and it doesn't prove they stole them. They're not doing this. They're just not.
The chair saga is still currently unfolding, so be on the lookout for a video covering the whole incident soon. There is definitely a lot more to this one than meets the eye.
Hello, this is an official announcement from Anonymous to Patrick S. Tomlinson. Hello, Patrick. We have your pallet Adirondack chairs. We are a global hacking collective dedicated to justice and equality. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We are anonymous. We are legion. Expect us. If you ever want to see your chairs again, you must denounce the state of Israel and the genocide of Gazans, apologise to your daughter for abandoning her, and also buy her a new iPad to show solidarity with Palestine. Your chairs are currently unharmed and being held at a safe house. You have 24 hours. After that, we will begin removing pieces from the chair and putting them in a wood chipper every hour until payment, until the chairs are destroyed. That concludes this message from Anonymous. We have hacked Craig's list, by the way, because we're hackers. So get ready, because it looks like you're going to be getting a lot of people looking for free stuff. And also, tomorrow a pool guy is coming by, even though you don't have a pool. That's right. We're hackers, and I like rape. Also, this video is satire. I don't care about your gay-ass chairs. Wouldn't want them anyways. That wood was treated with some super toxic shit. Only a retard or a beaner from the slums of Mexico would make one and take themselves seriously. It looks like that couple was interested in using them as firewood, or maybe they're just fat and retarded like you are. That's some of the shittier furniture I've ever seen in my entire life. You live like a fat... We are anonymous. We are hackers. Hackers are legion. You cannot hide from us.
Uga. Uga is the nickname given to a Nigerian man named Obochunga Ogi Chovwe, also commonly known as Uga, or Ugi. Ugi is a Nigerian man that became one of Patrick's ball washers on Twitter, with the hopes that Patrick and his friends at the SFWA could somehow secure him an American work visa, or otherwise provide some way to America or Europe. Being from Nigeria, Ugi's online footprint is dark and mysterious, as he was previously banned from Twitter, and from what I could gather from reading O and A forums posts and old tweets, Ugi was also supposedly banned from selling books on Amazon because he's Nigerian. Since emergence on the scene, Ugi has become one of Patrick's most loyal ball washers, and in my opinion, Patrick likes pretending to be friends with an exotic Nigerian man in order to gain some Twitter diversity points. Ugi is such a committed ball washer. He's even gone as far as harassing innocent women on Twitter in Patrick's defense. Naturally, the SFWA also loves this guy, and probably wants to throw lots of their members' money at him in exchange for doing nothing. He's still stuck in Africa for now, though, and thankfully it sounds like American Customs and Border Patrol won't be letting him back in. Memorial page trolling. Memorial page trolling is a shocking tactic that O and A members used to employ against various people online. While this included Patrick and his ball washers, it wasn't limited to them, as Anthony Cumia and various other people from the O and A show were also targeted in the same manner. These trolls would find recently deceased people connected to their target and post various joke messages and shock images on their public obituary or memorial page. These posts would range from innocent-sounding messages that subtly included inside jokes to explicit ones featuring pornographic images. These sort of activities have grown less common in recent times, as the general attitude towards this sort of trolling seems to have shifted. I understand why, as this kind of behavior is taking things too far in my opinion. Nevertheless, some of the people involved in this saga had to see their dead grandmothers get caught in the crossfire. Nigel Iggers. Nigel Iggers is a character created by O and A forums members that used to show up regularly during trolling incidents like the previously mentioned memorial page troll raids. If you haven't caught on to the joke behind this name by now, just remove some of these letters from the name, and you should start get it. Nigel Iggers and his companion Nigel Iglesias are beloved figures on O and A forums, thanks to the many years of laughter they provided. Andrew Nadowski. Andrew Nadowski was an online troll who originally came from either Kiwi Farms or O and A forums that gained some attention in 2022 after a small bit of drama kicked off between him and Patrick. One night, evidently while drunk, Andrew texted Patrick his name and a picture of his driver's license. While he didn't say anything threatening, Andrew did make fun of Patrick and later invited him out for a beer at Hooligans. In response, Patrick would essentially threaten Andrew over text before hiding for the rest of the night. For some reason, tough guy Pat didn't want to go and confront Andrew, even though he previously has claimed to have been in numerous bar fights and liked to make people believe he was going to mess his trolls up if he ever got his hands on one. Later that night, Andrew drove to Hooligans Bar in Milwaukee and had some more drinks up there while waiting for Patrick. He even supposedly bought a round for the house. Patrick never showed up, and as Andrew was leaving, he asked the staff about Patrick and why he wasn't there that night. The staff would later text Patrick warning him about Andrew and send a picture of his receipt with his payment information to Patrick so he could more easily be identified. Patrick tried to press charges and get a restraining order against Andrew because of this incident. However, the judge refused to grant it because Patrick ultimately was the one that threatened violence against Andrew during the exchange. This would be yet another courtroom loss for Tomlinson, who was undoubtedly humiliated and outraged after receiving a reality check from the judge. It sounds to me like Patrick doesn't like when people tell the truth about his actions.
That I'm not going to grant this is because I have to look at the actions of the petitioner as well. And basically, again, while all of this confounds me, I think what we basically have here is someone contacting someone they don't like on the internet and saying, I don't like you, I think you're bad. And the person who he contacted basically said, okay, if you want to fight, let's fight, and I'm going to beat the crap out of you.
That is not what occurred.
That's what I interpret that text to mean.
No, sir, that is not what occurred.
Sir, that's what I interpret the text to mean. I think basically there was, again, while I don't understand why you reach out and do this, this makes no sense. This is one of the, I'll be quite blunt, this is one of the dumber things I've heard in this courtroom. To some extent, what we really have here is a very limited contact. I don't like you. Do you want to fight? I'll kick your ass. You accept the invitation.
Sir, I did not.
And for some mind-numbing reason, he comes here for the fight, which thank God doesn't happen.
Sir, I did not invite him to come here. I did not invite to fight him. That did not occur.
Sir, what you said was, I won't need 911. I think
that is after he had already threatened me.
I understand that.
That is after he had already said he was going to come and confront me. I did not say I wanted to fight him.
I think basically what happened is someone offered to fight, someone accepted the fight, and God, it didn't happen.
No, that is not what occurred.
On that limited basis, I'm not going to grant harassment injunction. Based on what we have, I'm not going to grant this. Case is dismissed for that reason.
Patrick's faucet penis. Patrick's faucet penis refers to the observation made by numerous O and A forum members that Patrick's penis appears to look like a small faucet. The source of this image comes from security camera video from one of Pat's swattings that was later aired on the news. While Patrick denies that the small, shriveled bit of pixels between his legs is his penis, O and A trolls don't believe him. The apparent shape and size does make it seem to resemble a faucet or water spigot. This joke seems to really annoy Patrick, as he grows quite upset on Twitter when trolls bring it up. We just finished off level 8, and now we can go down into the extreme depths of level 9. Penny Eater. Penny Eater is an obscure background character from the Tomlinson saga that is sometimes made fun of due to his appearance. He is not a ball washer, nor does he seem to have an online presence. Instead, he's mainly known for being spotted in the background of pictures Patrick shares on social media. Early on, due to some physical similarities between him and Pat, O and A members thought he might be Patrick's little brother Kyle. However, this was later proven to be false. Somewhere along the way, he was given the nickname Penny Eater, after someone on O&A stated he looked like he enjoyed eating pennies. Since then, he's been seen a few times hanging out in pictures on Pat's feed, and he's pretty much just some random guy that's in Pat's social circle.
Peter, Peter, penny eater, have you any change?
Lifeguard Pat. Lifeguard Pat refers to a series of tweets Patrick made over the years, claiming he used to be a lifeguard in the Wisconsin Dells, and that he's given CPR to 2 different people, who both died. I've had to do CPR twice, which kinda beats the stats by a long shot. Didn't work either time. Both victims remained dead. The 67-year-old was bad enough, but the 5-year-old with the undiagnosed heart condition haunted me for years after. Many participants on the O&A forums think this is a blatant lie. Forum investigators couldn't find any news articles about water park deaths in the Wisconsin Dells area from that time period that align with Patrick's stories. In my opinion, this sounds like the exact kind of crap Patrick would lie about because he thinks it'll make him sound cool and hardened. He also claimed to be a volunteer lifeguard for the Special Olympics, but I think he has his story mixed up, as it's more believable that he participated in the Special Olympics as a competitor, because he's retarded, you see. Lynn Robinson. Lynn Robinson is Patrick's mother-in-law. She appears to have had a successful career in the finance industry and is believed by many on O&A forums to be relatively wealthy. Many on the forums also believe Lynn pays for a lot of Patrick and Nikki's expenditures, like vacations, concerts, and copious amounts of alcohol. Furthermore, some speculate that Lynn is also who paid Patrick's debt to Quasi. Interestingly, the payments that Quasi received for the debts were under Nikki's name, suggesting it was not Patrick's money. Patrick often insists to trolls that he didn't pay Quasi a cent. This may technically be true if it was Lynn who forked over the cash. He also didn't pay Quasi a single cent, but many thousands of cents. So technicality Tomlinson strikes again. Rick is a paid shill. Rick is a paid shill refers to an obscure conspiracy theory that was been passed around O&A forums in the past. With how often Patrick posts about politics and Donald Trump, some speculated he may be some sort of paid political shill whose role is to post liberal talking points on a regular basis. This theory re-emerged after it was discovered another prolific leftist Twitter account known as Brooklyn Dad Defiant was outed as a political shill that was being paid by Democrat-owned super PACs to spread leftist propaganda online. However, many believe Patrick is too stupid to make one of these deals, and the consensus on O&A now is that such a thing is not possible because Patrick has never bragged about it, and he's too fat and retarded to ever land that sort of gig. Instead, Patrick writes all of his tweets for free and doesn't even monetize them through Twitter Blue. So he didn't even earn any money off ruining his life and becoming a lol cow. Patrick actually pays for Twitter if you think about it, since he dropped $5,000 to get his account unsuspended. All that money and no blue check mark? What a shitty bargain. Farting in court. Farting in court refers to an incident that occurred during a Wisconsin traffic court hearing Patrick had to attend after receiving a speeding ticket. Because of COVID, this court hearing was held publicly over Zoom, and links to join the hearing were shared on O&A forums shortly before it started. As a result, several trolls were present in the call during the hearing, and some of them even unmuted their microphones to interrupt the hearing by playing noises from a soundboard. At a few points during the hearing, though, it would sound as though Patrick farted as a result of the stress, with his microphone evidently capturing these farts. Just my opinion, though, as I wasn't in the room to smell for myself if he did. Since then, this incident has been remembered as the time Patrick farted in court. Considering how fat Patrick is, it could be possible he was the source of these fart noises, and they may have been the result of trapped meatloaf gases escaping from his asshole.
No contest plea will be received. Find you guilty of speeding, 1 to 10 over. 3-point violation, forfeiture and cost $225.70.
And when is that fine due?
Within 30 days?
Okay. And I'm sure there'll be instructions on the literature you sent me.
Should be on
Saying
the
that.
citation you received. You can mail it to the Clerk of Courts in Outagamie County.
Very well. Thank you.
All right, I'm not quite sure who's making all the background noise or the feedback noise, but it needs to stop.
Patrick's insurance business. Patrick's insurance business refers to the fact Patrick appears to secretly work as an insurance agent, despite the fact he denies this on Twitter. I don't sell insurance and haven't in more than a decade, stalker. Despite these claims, Patrick currently holds an insurance license in several states, which he renews and maintains for reasons he doesn't share publicly. While he likes to claim on Twitter that he is a six-figure author who doesn't need to work, I think he's obviously been doing insurance stuff this entire time without admitting it. In my opinion, I suspect likely has some sort of low-earning work-from-home job that involves calling old people all day and swindling them into buying life insurance. From what I've heard, this sort of work pays on commission, and there's super low success rates. So I picture Patrick on his couch grinding out these miserable phone calls all day, between writing tweets and responding to trolls. We've just finished level 9, and now there's only one more left to go. The lowest depths of the Patrick Tomlinson Iceberg, level 10. Let's dive in. The Beef Wellington. The Beef Wellington, also known as the Beef Smellington, refers to a horrific incident that occurred in December of 2020 after Patrick attempted to cook a beef Wellington. Although Patrick regularly brags about his cooking skills on Twitter, a picture of the Wellington he later shared would be lambasted on O&A forums because of how burnt and nasty it turned out. Since then, Patrick's Beef Wellington has become a meme of sorts on the O&A forums, with numerous photoshops and memes spawning as a result. If you don't understand why, here's what a Beef Wellington is supposed to look like. Roger Stone cameo. The Roger Stone cameo refers to a cameo video that O&A forums bought on the site. Cameo from conservative political figure Roger Stone. Roger Stone was at one time a political consultant for the Trump administration, and was also heavily involved in the Robert Mueller election probe that investigated the supposed Russian interference in the 2016 election. Being obsessed with Trump, Patrick has tweeted about Roger Stone countless times. At one point on Twitter, Patrick would even write that rape and execution are the mildest punishments that Roger Stone deserves. So of course Patrick would seethe incredibly hard over the fact Roger Stone was not sent to prison, and instead was getting paid to make videos calling Patrick fat.
Hey Pat, it's Roger Stone. Yeah, I hear you're a demented libtard and you hate my guts. Here's the problem. You see, people online who say you're, fat, that's called free speech, the kind you liberals hate. You're not going to win that lawsuit, and guess what? I'm not in prison, so have a nice day.
Tor Swats. Tor Swats was an Telegram-based swatting service operated by a teenage cybercriminal located in California. It's believed that Tor Swats was the person that called in the swattings to Patrick's house, though it's not clear who actually ordered them or paid Tor Swats to carry them out. On O&A forums, however, many users speculate that Patrick was the person that ordered these swattings, as it was later discovered he held a crypto wallet account on the platform Gemini, and also allegedly had a Telegram account registered to his phone number. This was particularly suspicious because Patrick is an outspoken hater of cryptocurrency, I suspect because he doesn't understand how it works and is deeply jealous of anyone who does. Pat continues to deny this crypto account was his, even though his email was used to register it according to howI'veBeenPwned.com. Previously mentioned ball washer Jackie Singh is also believed by many to have some sort of connection to Tor Swats, and I personally suspect she could have been behind a lot of the fake Tor Swats Telegram accounts that popped up shortly after Tor Swats' arrest. These accounts mentioned Jackie by name and smelled like some sort of psyops Jackie was pulling for attention, though they seem to have failed as her claims about Tor Swats' identity were discredited by the FBI. Since Jackie used to be a member of the racist extremist hacking group GNAA, it would not shock me at all if she was connected to these swattings or aided in ordering them. GNAA was tied to lots of dangerous and illegal shit back in the day, and swatting seems right up a GNAA member's alley. O&A forums members say it's possible Patrick swatted himself with the help of Jackie in order to gain more attention and try to boost his victimhood status online, though so far, nobody has been caught for ordering them.
Lancaster teenager has been arrested accused of swatting a mosque in Florida, and he could be connected to hundreds of terrorist threats across the country. Alan Fillion has been extradited to Seminole County, where he made his first court appearance today. Deputies there said that they got a call from the 17-year-old last May, claiming he was going to shoot up a mosque, and played audio of gunfire during the call. Detectives later determined it was all a hoax. Investigators say that Fillion created several accounts on websites offering swatting services. Not yet clear whether he'll be charged.
Humiliation fetish. Humiliation fetish refers to a theory proposed by O&A forums members that Patrick is a cuckold that has a humiliation fetish, which is why he continues to fight the trolls online and allow them to ruin his public image and reputation. This theory sort of makes sense to me when I think about how a normal person would have given up by now. Since the beginning of this saga, Patrick has handled his trolls in the worst ways possible, and has only brought further trolling and negative attention towards himself online. This could all possibly be attributed to Patrick secretly getting off on being humiliated so much, and he does seem to seek out negative attention on a regular basis. I think if this theory is true, it likely means several other theories are also true, like the one about how Tyrone farts in his wife's coochie. What a disgusting couple of pigs. Both of them are abhorrent creatures. Backwards fence. The backwards fence refers to a picket fence that Patrick bragged about installing all by himself in his backyard. The only problem was, Patrick stupidly installed this fence backwards, which is a code violation in Milwaukee. As a result, trolls called city compliance on Patrick and filed a complaint. An inspector later came out and looked at the fence, and Patrick was forced to tear it down and reinstall it facing the right direction. This was a huge blow to Patrick's ego, as he apparently sees himself as a handyman know-it-all and a professional craftsman. As you saw from his pallet chairs project, Patrick doesn't have much actual talent, which is probably why he thought putting a backwards fence up would make him look cool on Twitter. Like usual, Patrick was quickly humbled by O&A after he decided to run his mouth online about his fence building skills, and as you already know, the fence would not survive for long afterwards due to code compliance telling him to remove it. Paint balloons. Paint balloons refers to a stupid, childish tweet Patrick wrote on a tactic he claimed could be used to disable Russian tanks during the invasion of Ukraine. The tweet reads as follows: Fun fact, #Ukraine. A water balloon filled with $1 paint thrown at the periscopes can disable a tank as fast as a $150,000 Javelin missile. Please do have fun. I don't think I need to explain why this is a stupid idea that could get people killed. It's like Patrick lives in a fantasy world and believes he's the main character in a children's movie where water balloons filled with paint can disable fleets of tanks. That's just stupid. What a fat moron. Mind you, there's no evidence Patrick has never been in the military, and he spends his days sitting on his fart couch tweeting and eating. He doesn't know the first thing about war or combat. Just as a side note, that doesn't stop him from lying about his military knowledge and experience online. Patrick seems to have straight up stolen valor at one point, because in April of 2024, he apparently lied and claimed he was once enlisted in the Navy. From what I could tell, this simply isn't true. Patrick has never been in the military as far as I know. And in addition to that, he's a fat liar who lost his lawsuit and paid quasi. Congratulations, you just finished level 10 of the Patrick S. Tomlinson Iceberg. We've covered some of the craziest and darkest highlights from this saga, and if you made it this far, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. Stay tuned, and be on the lookout for more uploads soon, because more insanity is always sure to come. Also, if you enjoy Iceberg videos and have a craving for more, be sure to check out my Opie and Anthony Iceberg, which dives into some of the insane lore, secrets, and drama of the controversial radio show Opie and Anthony. This has been Cryptic Web Chronicles. Good night.